Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very latest CADS podcast. Now, I promise this will not be a deeply depressing, negative podcast just about the Wolves game. We're actually going to try and be looking forwards, looking ahead to what will be coming in the future, because everyone's been talking about the Wolves game, and I don't think there's an awful lot that could be said that we haven't already been covered or hasn't already been covered somewhere else. So let's try and look forwards. Let's try and look with a slightly more positive frame of mind at what may be coming in the near future, because I think we all know this was not the big game in this 7-day period. So I've got two gents joining me tonight. I've got Ashley and I've got David. David, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Been a while since we've had you with us. You okay?
Yeah, I feel I've been doing an awful lot of music, so I haven't been around to take part in the podcast. It's been very frustrating watching you bigging up Ange, not being able to bring you all down a peg or two. But I suppose, but that's life. I suppose I just couldn't make it in. You know.
New album coming out?
Sorry.
Have you
There
got a
will
new
be a new
album
album
coming out?
coming out. Yeah, there's a new album. I don't think it'll be out before September. But it's a lot of live work at the moment, so which I enjoy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you enjoy that kind of stuff. Ashley, how you doing, Ash?
I'm doing good. Didn't get up for the game. Did see some highlights, but I've been waiting till the end of the season because I've been wanting to speak to Dave about this because I remember one of his phrases. Either he said it or wrote it, saying he's a fucking second or third tier manager. And I'm going, he could be right. Let's see what happens, and then if he is right, I'll say, "Hey, Dave, you nailed it."
But I
Because
don't want to be right. It makes me sad.
I don't think any of us do,
Yeah,
Dave.
it
You
makes me
know,
sad.
but
It makes me sad. Makes me sad to see him on the touchline because I think he's a decent man,
I
and I
agree.
don't like seeing people. It must be agony for him. I mean, he's not purposefully not at the right level, but he's just not right at the right level. But that's not today's subject matter, and I don't want to go in it.
It is not. It is
And
No,
not.
I don't want to Ange bash because I think I do think he's a nice guy. He's made some like public relations mistakes, but I think they're little ones that get blown out of proportion. Um, it just hasn't worked out. But we're not at the end of the season yet. We're still in the Europa, so he could still be, the first manager to bring us cup glory for 16 years. So
the last manager to get us European Cup glory got fired after the competition, after raising the cup, and he actually came and visited LA Spurs a few years ago. The general, what a nice fellow, absolutely nice fellow. Poch was still the manager at the time he came to visit us. Anyway, he got fired after winning the UEFA Cup in 1984.
Well, I'll
crazy.
take at least 50% of that. Let's win the Europa League, and then we can discuss what's going to happen next. But we are going to need to talk about it for just a smidgen amount of time. But also, Ashley, your swearing there will actually bring us down the table from Tottenham Hotspur's profanity table. So we're going to be in trouble already. But
But
oh well, what the fuck?
we're in 15th, we're in 15th place. I don't think we can go any lower.
Not Spurs. This particular podcast, we're going to be dragged down the table. Oh, we were up there with a clean bill of health last time, even though I do believe our good friend Austin did let a little one slip, but never mind.
I was saying
Okay,
I
so
was not going to swear through the whole podcast. That's going to be my thing. I'm not going to swear all
Mantra.
podcast.
oh well, it'll be fun. It'll all come out in the wash, as they say. But okay, we are going to have to talk about the game, but as I said, really briefly, because I do want to concentrate on what's coming up in the future. As I said, everyone's had a good old talk about what's happened. Everyone's had what they want to say, and yeah, it wasn't good. I don't think anybody here is going to put their hands up and say, "Hey, really good performance. We were just unlucky." It just wasn't good, and it wasn't good in so many different ways that it's kind of hard to fathom, which I'm sure will be brought up by the people who are Ange out. Um, for me, it's the same as the previous game. Players didn't want to get injured. Players were playing it easy, playing it safe. And frankly, they let themselves down and they let us down and they let the manager down. And frankly, it hurt. So I mean, we
feel
could go on about individual errors, we could go on about individual mistakes, but yeah, at the end of the day, it was just a big level of disappointment for me. David, go on. What you got to
Yeah, I
say?
thought there was some positive to take from it. Honestly, I'm going to take. I've decided that because we've got a match coming up, I want to try to be
Yeah,
positive. So I think it's worth saying that I think Jed Spence was decent again. Um, I thought Mattis Tell put in a very good shift. Um,
best game. I thought that was his best game
yeah,
so far at the
I
club.
thought he did well. I thought it was nice to see Decky come on. I wasn't expecting him. I thought he was in the match day squad just to get him used to being back in the team and things. But he came in, looked rusty, didn't really get into the game, but we saw him back. And I have a soft spot for Richie. I know his time with us is done because injuries have really crocked his entire Spurs time. And I don't think anyone's got any patience left for it, which is sad. But but on the score sheet, I haven't seen his goal, but I wonder whether it was better than the Mattis Tell one where it kind of bounced off him into the net. Doesn't matter; they all count, you know.
It,
So
it was very similar. Yeah,
so there
it was
were
very
some
similar.
positives.
Yeah, yeah, but
Those
He kind
those
of
are my
just fell onto his
positives.
head.
he fell
Yeah,
onto his
all
head.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
But he was
but,
there.
but
He was
like
there.
literally. I mean, he calls himself the pigeon, and his doing the whole
that's
head
right.
bobbing.
Keep
That's
getting.
literally what he needed to do to score. It was just quick one and in. There you
Yeah,
go. But yeah, no, it was
That,
good to see him score. It was good to see him running around fairly freely on the pitch because there have been times over the last 2 years that has not been evident.
true. Yeah,
Um, but yeah, there were definitely some good things. Matty's Tell was good. Despite the mistake, I thought Lucas Berreval, when he played, was fairly bright and interesting. And there were periods, just periods where you could see how Basuma fits in this side because he would receive the ball and he'd pass it out well, and we were able to kind of play the football that we wanted to.
yeah. Bissouma is so
But
frustrating because
yeah,
every now and again you'll see a flash of what we thought we were buying when we bought Bissouma. You'll see him receive the ball with two players on him and spin and beat those two players and have space in front of him, which is what we need him to do. He needs to break that press, break that first line, and have the pitch open up for him. He's not been doing that. But unfortunately, I didn't feel like an awful lot of the rest of his play was particularly good, and it was too few and far behind, but too few and far between, really.
yeah, they were just flashes
Yeah,
that make you that you could see and you could go, yeah, this guy could fit into this squad if we could just see more of that.
yeah,
just
but
just a
no,
little bit more, just a bit more consistent. But there are players who will be leaving this summer. I think we've already talked about two of them. Okay,
yeah.
one thing we could talk about that would be very, very positive is this club picked up some silverware in midweek. The under
Sorry.
17s won their
Oh
cup
yeah,
final, and they were excellent. I mean, maybe not quite so good at the back, but going forward, superb. And we have a star coming out. There's a young player called
Luca
Luca Williams
Williams.
Barnett.
Yeah,
If any of you watching now haven't seen him or haven't seen any of him, check out the highlights, see what this kid can do because he is very, very good. I'm kind of struggling to see where we're going to be able to fit him and Mikey Moore in the same team. I'm hoping Mikey Moore left and him through the centre, but he needs to develop a fair bit more.
how old
Build
is he?
some
Is he 16 or 15?
16,
16.
16,
Yeah, yeah.
and only recently 16 as well.
Mm.
And we had a couple of kids in there. We had Junai Byfield, who only turned 16 in December. Um, was it Oliver Dexter, who came on late, and genuinely, just when he got the ball, his head up running, he looked so bright. I thought, wow, this kid's going to be good. This kid's going to be something. I hope he continues to show us that in the future. But honestly, above them all, Luca Williams Barnett. He's got, they talk about main character energy. That boy has main character energy. He just
You try
looks
not to say
really,
big dick
really good.
energy.
I was not going to say big dick energy because people
Okay.
might think I'm talking about our goalkeeper, and I'm going to try not to talk about it tonight. So yeah, but yeah, no, it was good. It was good to see the future of the side and what was possible. Um, go on, Ash. You want to jump in?
yeah, because I didn't get to say anything before you jumped in. But thank you for letting us know about that. That's great. My little question about that is, quite frankly, Stu, you have said that about Donnelly, about Mikey Moore when he was 16, about Lancashire.
I said Donnelly wasn't ready. Before you go any further, I said Donnelly was not ready for Premier League
Well,
football.
well, neither is this guy, you know. My point,
No, he's
and this
not yet.
this is an ongoing point, has nothing really to do with that. It has to do with these young, possibly very talented young players never really get a shot at the first team at Spurs, and it's a hobby horse. I've been talking about for a couple of years. I said it before the start of this season when I said, you know, we should take a hit on this. Let's play some of the young guys. And to Andrew's credit, we have played a couple, and more played a little bit more than perhaps expected. So it just leaves me a bit cringy when these players are mentioned, which is great, but they just never get a shot at those opportunities, which is unfortunate.
I think Charlie spoke to us a little bit, saying that all the time that Ange is under pressure, which, you know, he's been massively under pressure. It's difficult for a manager to
Yeah.
risk the youngsters.
Sure.
I mean, he's been playing the senior players and he's probably going to lose his job, but he would have already lost it. I think he'd been playing the youngsters. He just doesn't have what's the word, enough of the backing of the fans and the board to take those kinds of risks at this time. And, you
The
know,
breathing space, maybe. The breathing space, the space. Yeah.
the breathing space.
Freedom, yeah.
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 Which, and, you know, I think probably Mikey Moore, he probably played more than he thought he was going to play this season.
But not recently. And quite
No.
frankly, I would love to have seen him play and have Sonny come on as a substitute. A bit more of Mikey Moore. What harm could there have been, considering what Sonny has not been contributing? And maybe he could have been off the bench. Why isn't but Dave, I totally understand what you're saying. He doesn't have the breathing space or the room to because the pressure is always there, obviously.
But I think also,
I know it may not seem like it, but Sonny was actually one of our most effective players against Eintracht Frankfurt. He had more entries into the box than anyone, more passes into the box than anyone. The goal came from one of his passes. He wasn't a direct assist, but the goal was from his early work. So, you know,
So that's one game out of 10.
Son is a fading light in this side. I still think he's amazing. I still love the guy, but he is a fading light in this side, and we're going to be seeing that fade continue to dim as time goes on. And I think then you'll be able to bring players in. Then you'll be able to phase them in. You'll be able to bring in the Mikey Moores. You bring it the Wilson Odobert, Matisse Tell. We've got 3 players who are all good options.
Although
I'm
Tell is
not
not our player yet, so
No,
we
I
don't
don't know
even
whether
know
he
if
will
the
be.
next manager would actually keep him.
But I don't know whether Sonny's drop off is as big as we think, because I think there's 2 other things at play with Sonny. One of them is that he had played too much football. I think probably that's not a reason anymore, but it's certainly a reason for some of his poor form this season. But you know, I don't want to go in on Ange, but I don't think Ange's tactics get the best out of Sonny. He's not, you know, he's not receiving the ball in front of him. He's not receiving balls he can run onto. He's always having to scrap. You know, he's quite often too far out wide. We like him in the inside left space. Doesn't get into that space very often. I think for a long time the inverted fullbacks were taking that space up from him. So you know, with a lot of the players, I don't think we need to have a mass clear out of the players this summer. I think, you know, with top level coaching, I think we could see much better out of these players, and I think we'd see better out of Son. I don't think he should be playing 90 minutes every match next season, but I don't think maybe his drop off isn't as bad as we think, because we've had 2 managers in a row that are not Son compatible, in my view.
So this is the first season in a long time that Sonny is about matching his expected goals rate. Normally he exceeds it by a considerable amount. This is the first time he's at about his expected goals, at about his expected assist level. So he's kind of playing to par.
7 or 8 goals only? How many does he have?
Yeah, I think it's about that. But then you're talking about a wide player who's not getting into goal scoring opportunities.
Well, he used to when he used to just be on the left and then cut inside and do those great shots into the corner on his right foot,
Yeah.
where he would cut in from the left. So he just doesn't do that, you know. He has, Dave, I take your point. He has definitely lost the pace, a half a yard of pace. He
Definitely.
cannot beat, for the most part, cannot beat that defender anymore. Yeah, he just can't. Uh, it, it happens. It's 32. It happens to you and I. It's Stu when he had to quit playing semi-pro soccer. You know.
Yeah, I think I might. I think
Not even
I
semi-pro,
might have
like-
lost a half yard of pace. I think I might have.
I never had pace to lose. So.
Hey,
No.
Oh dear.
But
let's
sometimes,
go.
but I don't think that like the half yard of pace, because Stu, you said that he's like on par for his XG, for example, goals versus XG. I think see, I don't think he's in a confident frame of mind, and so that like predatory, dead-eyed killer that we've known Son to be, he's not only a speed merchant, he's a great finisher usually. I don't think his finishing hasn't been as good this season, and that's mental, I think. I don't mean mental. I mean it's in his head.
Dave, what do you think about him as our captain?
Yeah, I think we've been over that. He's, it was great when Ange came in and we had to refresh the entire atmosphere around the club, and we had the feel good of Sonny and Madison and Romero. It lifted the atmosphere in the club, probably all the way through to the first Christmas, but I don't
That
think
Chelsea game.
Yeah. But I think it was Christmas before we realised that there was a general problem in the whole team. But he's not somebody that's going to lift the team when they're struggling. And I think our two Swedes could be those people, possibly.
Yes,
Maybe.
possibly. Yes, maybe, possibly, could be.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Kulusevski can do now he's back and has had a little bit of a break, because he said himself he was basically at 40% of where he should be before the
He was
injury.
absolutely wiped out before the injury. Yeah,
Absolutely.
When he came on, what position was he playing?
Central midfield.
Yeah, but he played a lot on the right in the bit that I saw. But I didn't see him all the way.
They do, don't they? When he's on and Brendan Johnson, he still goes to the right. It's like we're playing with two wide right players at times.
And Madison goes over to the left a lot more.
Madison goes over to the left, yeah. I mean, there was a video last year from Adam Cleary, who was at 4-4-2 at the time, and he was saying, the way that Ange's teams normally play, a winger is a winger and a midfielder is a midfielder. They're both very, very far forward, but they have set roles, and they said it's unusual to see them deviate from that. But Manor Solomon was playing left at the time. He said he comes in a lot and is creating chances more from the infield area. He says the only reason he's able to do that is because he's got James Maddison who can go outside him and kind of fill that position as well.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see that. Obviously, Manor Solomon is no longer with us and probably will never return. But, we'll see whether somebody else comes in the future. Austin has joined us.
You know who has come in? Austin.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, Austin.
Austin, we're being absolutely polite. There's no fucking swearing, and we're trying to be upbeat as well.
Rude.
That would be absolutely fucking awful. Indeed.
I haven't used one swear word, and I'm not going to.
He's been very good this evening.
If I swear, I will give £10 to the Ange Distress Fund.
Oh, here we go. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a challenge.
I don't think you need it, Dave. He's making more money.
Dave, who are you saying has come in? David, who are you saying has come in?
Austin.
Hang on. Can I add £10 by saying David fucking Wakes rocks?
Oh, yeah. That's cool, but I haven't said it, but I do.
But he agrees.
It's got your name attached to it, David, so it's your £10.
Oh dear me. So yeah, as I said, I think we're going to see Sonny being phased out of side. He's going to be 33 next year. There are not many 33-year-old wingers starting every single week in the Premier League. Ryan Giggs was an exception, and we'd rather he didn't go that way. Let's be honest. But
Ryan Giggs was playing centrally towards the end as well, wasn't he?
At times, yeah.
Yeah,
I still think he
I think he
was
played
at
more as
33. I think he was still playing the wing.
was he? Because
Yeah.
I think towards the end he was playing more as a playmaker.
Yeah, he was. He
Yeah,
was more of a
No,
playmaker.
shagging your sister-in-law.
yeah.
Hey, no, wait.
He was making other plays as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I think there's a lot of potential coming through the youth side. Ash, I know what you're saying. I've been talking about this for a long time, and these players have not yet come through. But at the same time, they are still very young. You know, the players we've talked about, Donley's what, 20, and is only just having his first season in League One. You
Scored
know, he
this
needs to
week.
take a step up.
He scored this week.
Yeah, he scores
Yeah, he
fairly
scored quite a
regularly.
few. Yeah,
He's doing very, very well there. But the other young players we've got, I think it's almost an aberration that Archie Gray and Lucas Berraval are playing as often as they are. Harry Kane came through when he was, what, 21? And before that, he'd been on loan at Leyton Orient and Norwich and Millwall. So I think Premier League players do come through later nowadays.
One thing I'll say about Donnelly, his vision reminds me of Harry Kane's. He hits first-time balls in the way that Harry Kane does, or did, or does still, but not for us.
but not for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not at the weekend. But
Can
hey.
can we get to Thursday and what we see, perhaps what expected lineup might be, and what might be, how do we actually show an effort as opposed to no effort or a lack of effort?
Yeah, let's look forward. Let's look
Can,
forward to
can
our
I
trip
put my
to
hands
Germany.
up here and say I haven't seen the last two games. I've only seen the highlights.
Yeah.
So I can't comment in what I think will happen based on what has happened. So, and I'm slightly drunk because I spent 6 hours traveling to Sandwich yesterday, 6 hours traveling back today, and I've only had about 20 hours of that, and 12 hours has been traveling. So
Sandwich, that's like the other end of the country from you, isn't it?
it's completely the other end of the country from me. Yeah. So
20 hours traveling and 12 hours drinking, is that what it
no,
was?
12 hours traveling and 20 hours drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Since you got back, it's fair enough.
Since
No
I
wonder
got
you're a
back,
bit
yes.
tipsy. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, let's look forward to Eintracht Frankfurt. I don't think we can look forward without looking back at the first game. I thought they didn't really create huge amounts, despite having a lot of space at times, and potentially could have done more than them. Yeah, Eintracht Frankfurt. I think they could have done better with the space that they were given at times. But I also thought it was genuinely quite encouraging to see some of our play, because it was one of our better performances, despite the fact we didn't get the result we wanted. We could have scored 4 or 5 in that game, and it wouldn't have been completely out of place.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of positive stuff there. If we play the same kind of team, maybe supplant some Kulusevski magic in there as well, then we could actually come out of this with a genuinely positive result, which takes us further forward in the Europa League. Whether that is transplanted over to the league form, who knows? But we're just concentrating on the Europa League right now, aren't we?
Yeah, what Dave mentioned this, and you just mentioned 2 players. If Decky comes in and Richie comes in, can we see them coming in, and who might go out? Can we see Richie supplanting Solanke for this, and Decky supplanting Madison for this?
I think Richie's still a sub.
He's what?
He's a substitute now. Solanke will start, and you know, despite his lack of goals, it's a lack of service. Solanke, you know, it's not like he's missing hatfuls of chances. He's just not getting any chances.
And if Decky comes in, who does he supplant?
Agree with that, David.
Brennan Johnson is the obvious option.
Yeah,
but I think Brennan Johnson was the right choice for the home game, but I don't think away his style of play is going to work quite so well. We want someone that's going to be able to get on the ball more and push things and force things a little bit more than Brennan Johnson does.
It might be too early for Decky to start, though. He only got 15
minutes. Say he does. Isn't he better in a more of a central midfield role than out on the wing. He is. We've seen that. No?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean,
But he's also stepped up for us in big games. The Manchester City game we won earlier in the season, the big difference was Decky playing out wide right when he'd been playing through the centre for much of the season before that. He went wide right, and we made the chances and made the most of the space that he created. So playing him there does give us opportunities and chances.
So that means keep Maddison in then and Decky out on the wing. If he's eligible, if he's healthy enough to start.
I thought Brennan looked absolutely wiped out at the end of the Wolves game. Looked absolutely shot, like exhausted. I don't know whether he can recover in time for Thursday anyway, but
he had a chance in that Eintracht game, and he'd scored in some almost identical opportunity in the previous game, and he skied it over the bar, but he got into the position, which is what he does quite well.
Right, yeah, the one he scored was against Southampton, and I was like four rows from the pitch. It was fantastic. It was a great goal, and Jed Spence was brilliant again.
Yeah, he had a similar, almost exact same opportunity. I track what Stu had said about we could have actually gone up 4 or 5 in that game. We may rue those missed chances. Skied a few of them, hit a couple of crossbars. Let's hope we can do that in the away game. There was an effort there. That's one of the things this season has been. What is this lack of effort? You know, as I said to Stu before we came on this, they're making more money in 1 week than we're making in a whole year. What is this lack of effort that, and what is it? What does that come down to? You know, giving up a goal often in 90 seconds. What is that about? You know,
I don't think it is a lack of effort.
What is it?
I think it's confidence. I think the team is absolutely devoid of confidence at the moment.
They say that winning becomes a habit. I think losing also becomes a habit. And I think, sadly, our team is in the habit of losing right now. And their confidence is fractured. If something goes wrong, you can almost see the confidence drain from them. And it's really disheartening to see when it happens. Because these are very, very good players. You know, despite what some people may say about them, these are quality players who, when they're at the top of the game, could probably play for most sides in the league. I mean, this is not a side that should be
squad, Stu. I think we have. I think we've got the best squad we've had possibly ever since the 60s.
Oh wow. Like better than the Redknapp years, better than the
Pochettino side.
Well, Redknapp had 4 players. He had Ledley King, he had Modric, he had Gareth Bale, and he had Van der Sar, not Van der Sar.
Van der Vaart.
Van der Vaart, yeah.
Yeah, Van der Vaart, yes.
Oh, he had Lennon, he had Sandro, he had Walker, he had Rose, he had Dele Alli. Oh, not Dele Alli. He didn't have Dele.
No, Dele Alli.
No, not Dele. That was Podge. He had some. Stu is right. We did have a good squad there, and also with.
Actually, no. Maybe what Austin means is we had a good first team under Harry.
But I think our overall squad now is better than it's been for 20 years.
I think it just lacks a bit of experience
and a bit of confidence. And I'm coming to the point where I think the pot should go because I think we need a new manager. But I don't want to talk about that here.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
I just think we've got some very good players in the squad.
Well, I definitely think the players are better than what they're producing, and I think what we said earlier, there is a confidence problem, but I do think there is a problem that in some positions, some people aren't sure about what they're supposed to be doing. And in other positions, people are being told, and I'm sure they're being told to do things that are, in my view, stupid. And they're obeying still, which is quite incredible. And I think that those are the problems. It's not a lack of effort. It's a lack of confidence and a lack of proper coaching.
Yeah. Well, what was that mistake by Romero on the 3rd goal? As I said, like ours, I only saw the highlights. What was that? That was lack of confidence? Lack of what? That was
It was
so
appalling.
Concentration.
so amateurish. It was just bonkers that he did something like that, right?
Correct,
Not
but at the
concentrated.
same time, we're trying to talk about Eintracht Frankfurt,
Yeah.
and
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
he
So
is going to
that's what-
start. He will start against Eintracht Frankfurt, won't he?
Well, that's my point. Is that can we have them on the ball, those guys, from the beginning?
Yeah, that
You
would be
know?
nice, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe this was inspired management. Everybody goes in and gets their fuck ups out of the way in the previous game, and this one, everyone will be perfect. They will be on note and just ready to go right from the start. That's what we're after,
what's
surely.
the
Okay,
team
who
going to
should
be?
be out? Okay, if Van der Ven and Romero start center back, who are going to be our fullbacks on Thursday?
Well, he rested Udogi, so I'm assuming Udogi will start. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming, and he rested Porro, so I'm assuming Porro will start in right back. Although I wish Porro would start on right wing, Spence would start in right back, but
I
that's,
agree completely,
you know,
David.
but it's just not going to happen. Then we could put Decky in the middle, and I think that would be brilliant. But the only time we've had both Spence and Porro on the field on the right, he put Spence in right midfield.
He did, yes.
Which
I
I
remember
thought
that.
was bonkers. Absolutely.
And I thought David Weeks is going to
yeah,
absolutely
I
be
blew up.
swearing
I
at the
blew
TV
up.
right now.
Yeah, my brain
Yeah.
went. What is he thinking?
What did you say at the time, David? Just for the.
I'm not falling into that. I'm not falling into that fucking. Oh shit!
There we go. Hey. Oh wow, we might have somebody new joining us this
Oh,
evening.
bloody hell, Belgian Brownie.
Hello there.
Yes.
Wow,
Is my video not working?
it's not.
Your video is not working, but we can hear you loud and clear. How you doing, Marcel?
Yeah, fine. Yes. Oh, hang on a second. I've just found it. Is it? Yes.
Hey,
there we
there
go.
we go.
There he is.
Hey! Hi, Marcel.
Hi, hello, everybody.
Hello there.
What happened
All
was that I saw the time was 9 o'clock, and I just assumed that was UK time.
No, it automatically adjusts just for you. So
Okay, fair enough.
So Marcel, we're talking about the Eintracht Frankfurt game, the one coming up, not the one that's been. We're trying to go through the team. We've decided that we're probably going to be playing Romero and Van der Ven at centre back. Probably going to be playing Porro and Udogi as fullbacks. Has anybody got any chances, any thoughts that Vicario will not be starting this one?
No.
Well, what's the option?
What do you
Kinski will play, so it's really the
Kinski.
other guy, Austin.
Oh, Kinski's registered. Kinski's registered, so he can play.
I don't know. Please check that.
I have. Don't worry, I did.
Yeah. Kinski's not. In my view,
Will
Kinski's
will
not
you
ready.
pay into the David Weeks fund if you're wrong?
I will absolutely
Ash,
pay into the
how
David
well
Weeks fund if I'm
you
wrong.
fucked on this one.
Ash, will you pay into the David Weeks fund if you're wrong? That's the next question.
I'll buy him a bottle of Chardonnay.
Oh,
Buy
okay.
a CD, he'll be real happy.
With
Yeah,
a black fly.
Yeah.
Hey, I wrote a story about his last CD.
You did,
And
you
He
did.
did,
Quite a lovely
and it was
story.
it was a good magazine article as well. So yeah.
Magazine, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so Vicario at the back. That means our defense is pretty much sorted. Who are we going to play in midfield?
It's got to be Bentancur, Bergwijn,
Yeah.
and Madison. I suppose.
Bergwijn. He left a
wow.
couple of years
Oh,
ago.
Bergwijn. Sorry. Woo! Was that mention of a Chardonnay?
Yeah, Bergwijn.
Bergwijn.
Yeah.
Bergwijn,
Talking
Madison,
of
and-
Bergwijn, I was having a conversation with Sam. You may have seen it. If you didn't, it's I'll probably link to it. Talking about how the finances of the club, and we were talking about who are the players that Spurs have actually made money on, and we just scratched our heads and thought Harry Kane, and that's it. We completely forgot Harry Winks, Oliver Skip, and Bergwijn. Do you know how much money we made
Tom
on Bergwijn?
Huddleston and Ryan Mason.
Oh, too far back. Do you know how much money we made on Bergwijn? Anybody got any idea?
No
What do you mean
idea.
made?
10 million?
We
What do you
we
mean
made a
made?
profit on
Okay.
him.
10
made a
million.
profit. We
I'm
bought
going for 10
him
million.
£200,000. That was
Oh.
it. That's all we made. Like less than his wages. Oh dear me. So yeah. Okay. So Bergwijn, Bentancur. Now, are we going to be going Kulusevski or Madison? Let's say Kulusevski is fit.
I'd prefer Kulusevski because I think Madison's lost the plot a bit. He doesn't. He's lost his head. I don't know. I think he thinks he's better than he is sometimes.
I agree.
I want him. This is what I want, and this may seem absolutely ridiculous, but I think confidence is linked to how you feel in yourself. And I think right now he doesn't feel completely right, and I think that's shown by his haircut. Because right now he's got a somewhat mature haircut, and that lad needs to be a cheeky chappy, and he needs to have like the undercut and like the fade and everything in like that. Get the confidence, get the haircut back, get the confidence back, and then we will see the better James Maddison.
Great insights too. I've been watching, the last couple of games. I'm going, what is up with that poofy haircut? Get back to the fade, and what I felt exactly the same. Yeah, good points.
Well, there you go, Sue. That's what people come here for, is the in-depth analytical things on people's haircuts. Okay, so then we need to sort out our wide position. Sonny was rested. Odegaard may be injured, may be rested. Who knows? Maybe the leak will tell us later on in the week. But right now, are we going Sonny left?
I would rather have Odegaard every day of the week, with Sonny coming on as a substitute later.
Yeah,
but it won't happen though, will it?
No, if we're saying what we think will happen, then it's Sonny. If we're saying what we want to happen, then for me it's probably Tell.
Oh, interesting.
Based on the showing.
So you'd go Tell on the left. Who are you playing on the right?
Oh well, but if it's my dream, then it's Pedro Porro on the right wing.
Of course. Yeah. How did we forget that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Who else would you play on the right? I mean, personally, if Odegaard is fit, I'm playing Odegaard on the right and Sonny on the left.
Yeah.
But he'll start Johnson.
Johnson won't start this one. Johnson's played too much. He's not been. Loads of players have been rotated to make sure they're still fresh. I don't think Johnson plays this one. Also, I don't think away from home in a match where there's going to be a bit of grit needed, I don't think he's the player. I don't think he's the guy to turn to.
In fairness to Johnson, he's got more goals and assists than anyone else in that position.
No, he's been superb this season, but I think there are certain games that certain players are fit for and right for, and I don't think this is him. Johnson actually put in a really good shift against Wolves. I thought he was one of the players that came out with some credit. I've talked so many times this season. I've talked so many times about this season about wanting to see more from him apart from the goals, and I thought this was an occasion where he did everything but score. I thought he was actually one of his better games.
But I'd like to see him as an impact sub, which is what I think most people think, that he's a good impact sub coming on against tired legs.
He's one of those players who's good at picking up the rhythm of a game very, very quickly, which is almost a specialist thing in itself, because so many people take 5 to 10 minutes to get into a game. If you can have someone who comes in and is straight into it, like Solskjaer used to, that kind of player is really, really useful.
Remember back in the day, Austin, you'll probably remember this. Remember Fairclough at Liverpool? Super sub.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and he was exactly that, wasn't he?
Wasn't there another one, Marcel? Steve Highway? Was it Highway?
Steve Highway, yeah.
He was more of a starter, though, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Think super sub. Anyway, I was living in Canada then, so I didn't see too many of the games, but I used to read about him. Anyway, yeah. So in some ways, both Sonny and Brennan could be super subs.
Yeah, Son, I agree, because I'm not sure with Sonny whether it is a lack of confidence or whether he literally has lost half a yard of pace over this last year. And I think it's more the latter. But I'll get frustrated with him. His choice seems to have gone. He's always making the wrong choice. He tries to shoot when there's about 3 defenders in front of him, and all he does is bounce back off the leg,
But that kind of thing used to pay off for him. He used to shoot with 3 players in front of him. It would curl beautifully past them and into the corner. Yeah. It doesn't seem to work quite so well anymore.
He seems to be closer to those people now, though. They're not giving enough room.
I think it's also the way I said earlier in the pod that I think it's also the way he's being used by Ange. I don't think it plays to his strengths either.
So, and we put Solanke in the middle.
I
You
was
put
going to say
Solanke.
that leaves us with just the central striker. Solanke seems like the obvious choice. I really don't think Richie is ready yet. I don't think he's going to be fit enough. And despite a good showing from Tell, I don't think he's going to be someone we turn to start this game.
Is there anything
I
we
think
could
Tell
do
would be a good
Sorry.
option to replace Son on the left.
Me too.
Through the centre, I would play Solanke every day.
Yeah, I think Solanke's the one for the start. Anybody got any other choices?
Just wondering, just to sort of putting it out there, is there anything we could do to, because our away form in the league has been poor, but our away form in Europa League has been possibly even poorer. Should we be doing anything to stiffen up the team? You know, so for example, having Decky on the right would make us a bit stiffer, a little bit more difficult to break down. I just feel like we play the same formation home and away, that we play the same tactics home and away, no matter what we're going to be confronted with. I just would like us to have a midfield on Thursday night. You know,
Don't you like that big gap?
No, I don't like that big gap. I don't like it when, you know, they're also told to press and get an early turnover. So you see midfielders going out wide to try and close someone down, and then the ball gets played in behind them. There's just an ocean of space in the middle of the pitch. It's just crazy. If away from home, we'll get absolutely punished for that.
Yeah. It's not just
I think
when we're defending either, it's when we're attacking. There just seems to be no one there to actually take the ball on. It's so slow, and people stop, put their foot on the ball, pass it sideways or backwards, and suddenly all the defence of the opposition are in place.
Yeah,
it's just
it's worse than
Whereas
that, Marcel.
beginning of last season, we got the ball. We got the ball out of defence quickly, and we were attacking up the opposition while they were still resetting.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a case of giving them a chance to sit in position. It was like, okay, boom, go, make that move. And when you watch the training videos, it was all about explosive movement. And I think with all the injuries we've had, it's been a case of, right, we need to try and find a way of making this work, but at a slower pace so that we're not picking up more injuries. And it's just that is my biggest thing. You know, I'm still a big fan of Ange. I think Ange, when everything works, is great, but I don't think Ange at this pace is working. And I think we need to build the squad out.
Because we talk about risk reward, you know, and we talk about what's it called, overloading by pushing up the fullbacks and having everybody in their half around that. But the thing is, I think when you're doing that overload, the ball needs to be being played very fast, one touch, in front of the players, not to feet, not behind them. And, you know, people need to be moving fast, and that destabilizes the other team and they can't get set. What we're doing is we're putting the numbers up there. So we haven't got a right back, we haven't got a left back, and quite often we haven't got a centre back either. And we haven't got a midfield. Everybody's up there, and we're just rolling the ball very slowly in triangles from side to side. And wait, can I just finish, Ashley? Yep. Then at one point we'll lose patience and we'll fire the ball really hard into, for example, Maddison, who will be on the D, the penalty area, and will be immediately closed down by 3 players and most likely lose the ball. Then they've got the ball and we've got nobody in our half, and they've got at least 2 or 3 people, and quite often it's 4 against 2.
Yeah.
You know? It's not just the overload, it's what we actually do with it. We're so slow. It's so ponderous. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know, all good points, Dave, but partly I think what happened after those first 10 games is that the acumen of the other managers went, well, we'll just do a low block, and it doesn't matter how fast forward passing they are, we're going to have 10 men behind the ball. So Dave, when you're talking about what you just said there, you've got 10 men there. How do you get into those channels when there's 10 men? I think that's what happened. They glommed onto how to defend against us, and that's why they all caught up and went, okay, we'll just do this. Even
But
Arsenal did that against us.
But
And
the slowness of the build-up play, you're never going to break down a low block playing at walking
yeah, but
speed.
do you remember Barcelona tiki-taka? That was slow.
Yeah, they had Messi.
They had better players.
And
Exactly.
Iniesta
Yeah.
and Xavi and
Yeah, but that was slow. That was slow, but they had better players to make those forward passes and things like that, you know?
The thing that Barcelona did at that time was they knew when to accelerate.
Yeah.
They played the ball around slowly, but they could burst. They each had players who could either move the ball quickly with a pass or could just had acceleration that just took players out the
In
side.
fairness,
Mainly
they
Messi.
had Iniesta, they had Xavi, and they had Messi.
Yeah.
I mean, three of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
So we don't have
With
that,
Busquets
right?
backing them up, who's one of the one of the most reliable players. He may not be one of the best, but he was reliable and he was consistent.
But to take that back to the Frankfurt match on Thursday. So if I go back to last Thursday, what I saw, even though it didn't pay off because apparently the new one is that the gods of football are against us now. You know, that's a new reason.
What are you saying, Dave? I can't hear you. Sorry,
So,
Dave.
The football gods are against us.
The football gods were against us last Thursday, but I actually saw some green shoots of recovery of some faster attacking play, especially from Bergwijn. From Bergwijn.
Again.
Bergwijn. Every time I say Bergwijn, I'll put 10 euros into the Ange. So if we can do this Thursday what we did some of last Thursday. I mean, I think I said after the match on Thursday, if we played like that every match, I would be less hostile to Ange, you know. But we don't. But if we can do that this Thursday, then we've got a chance. But it's going to be more difficult away from home. I think, you know, we have to be. We're going to have to weather a storm for sure, because it's going to be a lot more difficult at their place than it was at ours.
Yeah, as you said, towards the end of the match, things seemed to get better. Honestly, a lot of it I think was down to the introduction of Jed Spence. He came on and the way he just attacked things. He introduced a lot of impetus that others just didn't. So for me, that's what I'd put it down to. He just wanted to go for it. Despite there's been a lot of negatives this year, I think this will be a season where we look back and we will go, Archie Gray, Lucas Berraval, and Jed Spence came through that year and suddenly made themselves look like real Tottenham players, and will be better for it, regardless of what happens with the manager, regardless of what happens in the future. Those three, I think, are going nowhere. Apparently, Berraval is in talks for a new contract, and I really hope it's a long one, because I think that kid, I can say that I'm 47. He's less than half my age. That kid is going to be a significantly good player for us and a significantly important player for us in the future.
Completely. I mean, you know, but for all the pain of this season, it really has got to a point where I don't even have the excuse of the time difference. I find it difficult to motivate myself for watching matches. If I've got something else that comes up, I'll happy to do that.
What do we have to do to get a win on Thursday? Apart from scoring more goals. Then.
Play Jed Spence from the start.
I think we need to up the pace, as we talked about just then. But also, when we talked about Barcelona and their slow play, they actually have players running into position off the ball. We just stand still. And I think that's often the case why we end up passing it sideways and backwards. We're static.
Yeah, actually, Marcel, because we start when we have the ball, our wingers, so Sonny and Brennan, for example, most often, they're an awfully long way up the pitch. They're nowhere near where we're trying to play it out from the back, and that's what Ange is asking to do. But that has two effects. Like, effect number one is that when we're trying to play out to the back, we can't play it out to Brennan or Sonny because they're too far up the pitch, and we've seen it quite often that Jed Spence or Ben Davies or whoever will get the ball, they'll turn around and they won't have anyone to pass to, and then sometimes they just have to pass it out for a throw into the other side, and then you see the winger running back too late. Too late. So it's hampering our build up from the back.
I think
But the other thing it's
Mo
doing
Salah
is
set a masterclass yesterday for
yeah,
Liverpool
he starts
because
deeper, doesn't he?
he received the ball on the wing a few times and he
Yeah.
absolutely skinned them. And we need to learn how to do that. Mind you,
Yeah, but
he is a
Austin,
world-class player.
yeah,
So
but that's the second thing, Austin. Because they're starting so far up the pitch, they're receiving the ball to feet or behind them, which means that they can't get any impetus. They can't start. That they're starting from a dead stop and then trying to beat their player. Whilst Mo Salah, I think he starts from lower down. He starts from near the halfway line or
no,
even in
that's
his
fair
own
comment.
half, and then he's running onto it, and he can get moving, get some impetus. We're all so far up already that in fact there's no impetus. There's nothing. There's no movement. There's no movement possible. So
Okay. Can I take that point? I think our coaching's crap.
I do.
I know we didn't want to talk about Ange tonight, but I think that is a significant part of what the problem is. I don't think we're being coached in the right way to play the right way.
I
You're preaching
think
to
it
the
would be
choir.
interesting to find out which coaches are responsible for what, because Chris Davis left to go to Birmingham, and I think at that point our movement, our fluidity seemed to take a bit of a hit, and I do wonder whether he was
Birmingham are
responsible for
about
that
to
kind
win the
of.
second division or the first division rather with the
Yeah, he's
Oh,
done
they've
well.
won it, haven't they? I think they've
Yeah,
already
they
won
have.
it. Yeah, but they did lose their cup final the other day, so it's not all roses there. But I mean, they had a budget 5 times higher than the next biggest club, which I think was Wrexham. So Wrexham spend a lot of money as well, and they're also going up. It'll be interesting to see what he does next year. Certainly.
Fair comment.
So for me, again, this is one of the things about Ange that is, it's a nice thing for him. He doesn't take the same coaching from one club to another, which means that things are refreshed because he's not often at a club for more than 2 or 3 seasons. And at the same time, he doesn't have that kind of mental shorthand that you can build up with assistant managers that are with you for a long time. You're taking a risk every time you bring someone new in. If you were working with someone who you knew could do the job every single time and worked perfectly for you, that would be better. He had that when he was in Australia, but then his assistant manager went and took a job in Japan as his own manager. So, he's not done it since, as far as I'm aware.
Is this because he's a control freak and basically thinks he doesn't need to bring people along with him? He just says, right, well, I'm in charge of everything. They'll just have to do as I tell them. Which the downside of that, of course, is that the people he's trying to instruct don't have a clue what he's trying to do at first. I don't know.
I don't think he's a control freak because
He's
he
a
only gets
stubborn
involved
person.
in 1 or 2 training sessions a week. I mean, he's definitely a stubborn person, but that's that could be a good thing in some way.
Yeah. When it works, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
When it works, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like, I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson had 5, 6 different assistant managers during his time at Manchester United. When things started to get a little bit stale, he would change assistant manager and change things up. Different ways of playing, different kind of training, and the players we've got talk very highly of the coaches we've got and the training sessions we've got. I'm
least that's the
sure they're
message
not
we're
going to come out
receiving.
and yeah, as I say, I'm pretty sure they're not going to come out and say training's crap when none of us are enjoying it and we're not learning anything.
Well, quite often towards the end of a manager's period, you start getting stories in the papers about players are unhappy with the training sessions and things like that. There's these rumours. There haven't been any of those, despite the presence of a mole in the club. There hasn't been, apart from like QT obviously dissing the medical staff, like openly criticising them.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any of these stories that always get leaked to the press. Yeah, there's mumblings in the Tottenham camp that players are not happy with the training and things like that. There's not been any of that. Quite interesting.
There are certain things which seem to fit the pattern of we're about to change manager. Performances are disappointing, results are worse. But at the same time, we had that in February, and I was absolutely sure that he was going to go. I was absolutely sure Ange was going to go in February after we had that really, really awful run. And we didn't. We stuck with him. And it wasn't, at that time, it wasn't just down to Europe, because we still had a long way to go in Europe before we even got close to anything. Obviously, Daniel Levy felt this is a guy I can continue to work with, and has a very good chance of getting us somewhere. We just need to get out of this current period of bad form. And then things did pick up a little bit. But right now we're going through a tough run again. So are we going to see more of the same from Daniel Levy? Is he going to stick with Ange? He's just brought in, is it Venai
Venkatesh,
who was at
I think his name
Arsenal?
is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who, was not only was he instrumental in bringing in Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, but he was also instrumental in keeping Mikel Arteta in place when things were going badly, and they did not have an easy start. He had finished 8th twice, and they'd been finishing in the top 4 before that.
8th, I dream of finishing 8th.
Yeah, well,
you see, this is
lucky.
This is why I'm a little bit.
Hang on, that sounded like a swear.
It sounded like the Four Yorkshiremen sketch.
It was,
Hey,
yeah, that's what I was doing.
Luxury.
Yeah.
I dream of being 8.
Yeah.
Luxury.
Marcel, what were you saying? Marcel?
Yeah, but the bottom line is that we. Hang on a sec, I've lost my thread now. What were we just saying? It's the sticking with him, which it's the one thing that I'm thinking that he should stay, whereas everything else is screaming at me, get a new guy in. But it's the Arteta story, for example, where it didn't work out at first, but they stuck with it and it did work.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, do we want to start the merry-go-round yet again?
In fairness, Marcel, Arteta still hasn't worked.
That's true.
FA Cup, Community Shield.
Yeah, but no.
I would say he's won some things.
Yeah, but no. But his good point.
Look,
good point.
Ashley, do not make me sit here and defend Mikel Arteta. Don't make me do that. I'm not gonna.
No,
I don't want to do
don't
it.
you dare.
No,
No.
but that high
Okay,
level.
let's look at Ferguson. Let's say Ferguson then instead. He had a bad start, didn't he?
That's true.
Ferguson 1 game away from the sack. Mark Robbins saved his job, apparently.
But I just really getting fed up with this changing the manager all the time. This is the new dawn, and it never works. Blah blah blah, and I just don't want to go through it again. So long as we don't get relegated, maybe we should stick. I don't know. We won't get relegated.
We won't get relegated.
We're not getting relegated.
We're not going to win another match in the league this season, but we won't get relegated.
Marcel,
yeah, we could lose every single game and stay up.
Yeah, Marcel. So if we win this Europa, that would be an impetus for you to think that stick with him, because Stu has suggested, we got to give him a 3rd year. So there you go. Winning the Europa might help stop that revolving door thing that we've had for so long.
Yeah.
But if we don't, which is quite possible, the impetus will be to revolve that door again.
I think the first through the revolving door's got to be the medical team.
Well, apparently they're a new medical team.
Yeah.
They've already done a lot of revolving already.
Yeah, well, let's revolve.
So,
we've been through Dr. Crippen, now we've got Dr. Shipman.
Yeah, it was you that said Dr. Shipman on CADS.
Actually, it came from what our friend Edmonton calls him.
That was excellent. That really made me laugh.
I'll be honest. You guys know I'm a fan of Ange. I want him to stay at the club. I want him to be here longer because I like what he's got to say. I like his principles. I like the guy, and I can't say that about pretty much any Tottenham manager since the days of Pochettino. I felt getting rid of Pochettino was a mistake. I feel that getting rid of Ange Postecoglou would be a mistake. But at the same time, the only way I can see him staying is if we win the Europa League.
Right.
That's the only way I can see it happening.
I don't
That
think he should stay
said,
even if we do.
Daniel Levy might want to keep him on for the simple reason he's cheap.
He's not cheap though, is he? He's what, third highest paid manager in the league?
Is
Is
he?
it?
Yeah, but compared
Yeah, he's on
compared to
4.5
who
million a year or
we'd have to
something.
bring in.
Yeah, but I mean, we paid Conte similar. We paid Mourinho similar. Anyone that comes in is going to want big money. And they'll be asking for the same kind of money that those guys got.
I thought he was cheaper. Okay.
No, apparently not.
So
Got a good agent.
do we personally think that we can get the job done on Thursday?
Yes, we can.
I do. I think
really
we'll win on
depends.
Thursday.
I think we'll win on Thursday, but it really depends on the team's mental attitude. If they go out with the belief that they can do it and actually push to get that win, they will. But if there's doubt, if there's any level of doubt, it can just pervade everything and it could just make things awful. And we could have a very embarrassing night.
I think it's extra time.
Okay.
Which is actually why I wonder, which is why I think we probably shouldn't start with Decky.
We bring him on later against tired legs.
Yeah.
What about you, Oz?
Because I haven't seen the last two games, I've got no comment.
No, I'll be
first.
No, the question is, can we get it done on Thursday?
Oh, I think we can. I think we've got the potential to do. I think we've got the potential to win the whole bloody thing. But I've been of you all. I'm the oldest supporter. I'm the longest supporter, and I'm probably feeling the most negative I've felt for a long time. But I do think that we can win this.
Austin, I think laying down, I am the longest supporter. On a per inch basis, I'm almost guaranteed.
I'm not talking about physically, Stuart. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about in terms of time.
I know what you're saying.
I just wanted it clarified because it's on recording.
You are fully respected, of course, as always, because there is no chance of you being disrespected in this place.
on Thursday, what we need to do is really keep it really tight the first 10, 15 minutes. And not letting another stupid bloody goal in the first.
David, on Thursday, we need to twat them. We need to twat them once, we need to twat them twice, and we need to twat them again.
And again, yeah. I agree. But I think we will be able to twat them if we hang on for the first 10 minutes. I think you have to earn your right to play away.
Good point, Dave. Good point.
An early goal for us would certainly settle things down. It would be nice to go, oh, okay, we're on it tonight. So that's my hope. An early goal, and then a second goal, and then a third goal, and then show everybody what we are in Europe.
Because I say, Austin, if we twat them 3 times, I'll still be worried. That 3 is not enough when you're a Spurs supporter.
I was in the semi-final against Arsenal when we beat them 5-1 in the League Cup semi-final, and until Jermaine Genius scored that 5th goal, I was terrified they were going to come back.
Exactly.
Even when Jermaine Genius scored that 5th goal, I was thinking there's only 4 goals in it. This could turn.
You're not fully poised until you're not bricking it 3 minutes from the end at 3-0 up.
No, but I think
everyone here has lived through that Manchester City game where Joey Barton got sent off at half time and we were 3-0 up. And it was like, oh well, this one's just this one's just easy from here, and then we lost it.
I was actually there.
Oh my poor guy.
Oh, God.
And that was it, Stu, though, wasn't it? That's probably exactly what the players thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're home and dry, and that's it. You take your foot off the ball. You put your feet up. Let's start thinking about next weekend. Bang, bang, bang. It's gone. And once you start getting that mindset, you can't get out of it.
Yeah. Which brings me to my last point of the night. I said it when we played against AZ Alkmaar. I thought losing the first game was probably a good thing for us because it made us sure and very much aware that going into the second leg, we couldn't half-arse it. We had to go in and do things properly. And I think we've got pretty much the same thing going in against Eintracht Frankfurt. We know they're a tough side. We know they're well drilled. We know they're going to be difficult to break down. The players know what's ahead of them. And frankly, at this point, from now on, there should be no reason whatsoever for them not to go out and put on a good performance, because they know what's in front of them. They know what is required of them.
But we were saying exactly the same thing before the first leg against AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah, but then they had a wake up.
Shut the bed. Oh, another 10.
Yeah, and that woke them up. And now they've had their wake up against Eintracht Frankfurt. They didn't get the home win that they wanted. They've got to go out and make it happen in the second leg. So, you know, that is what I am taking on into this last game. Obviously, this potential last game in the Europa League. Hopefully it won't be. Hopefully we'll have a few more to go. But I feel that there is absolutely no opportunity. There's no leeway now for them to make a mistake. They need to go out there knowing that it is all on them, and they're not going to get forgiven if they mess it up.
I'll be watching it down the pub getting blasted. And by the way, David Gage came to the pub the other day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Cool.
FYI.
Have not seen him in ages. Not since we last had a meetup. We need to do it again.
Yeah,
all right, guys. So let's go around the table very quickly before we close this up. Give us a predicted score. We're going to start with our latest joiner, so that's going to be Marcel. What's your predicted score for this evening?
Oh my god! Well, on another group, I predicted 2-2, go to extra time. But at the end of the day, that first game, we were the better side, and I don't think we got much to fear from them. I think we were the better side. If we just carry that on, we should be all right. But this is Tottenham. It'll be 2-2, I think.
And then what happens after 2-2?
Oh, hang on. No. He said we're going to win it in extra time. He said that earlier. All right. We're going to go in reverse chronological order. So, Austin, you were second last to join us. What are your thoughts on this? What's the score going to be?
3-1 to us.
Oh, I'll take that. David?
3-2.
3-2. That would
it's
be
going
okay
to be
as well.
squeaky bum time in the last few minutes.
3-2 overall. We're talking about 3-2 aggregate, right? Or 3-2 on the day?
3-2 in this one game. 5 goals. Here it can be done. We've seen it. Just yes. And Ashley, what are your thoughts? What's your predicted scoreline?
I'll say what Dave said. If we can hold off in the first 10-15 minutes, that would be great, and that would be something positive. So yeah, same thing. 3-2 on the night.
Perfect.
We can hold off.
And I'm going to go with Austin. I like the 3-1. I really like the 3-1. I think we've got it in us.
I don't like the French-Canadian coalition. But he's not Canadian, he's American. But...
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jonathan David or something. He might be joining us from...
I'm talking about David and Ashley. I've called David Canadian for the moment.
I'm not Canadian.
He's French.
French.
Yeah. Missing out on not being French.
Yeah, we're all French.
At least 3 of us.
Yeah.
So we're all predicting we're going to win.
Yeah,
we're all predicting we're going to win. Absolutely.
I'm just saying the hard way.
Push the pain just a little bit further down the track for later on. But that's it, guys. We're going to call it a night there. It's been a long one. Thank you very much for joining us. Marcel, thank you for joining us for the first time ever. Please come back. Austin, David, Ashley, as we say over here in France,
some of the very early ones you did.
Bonsoir. And as we say here at the end of every single podcast, come on, you Spurs.